standing up, she's ready to go. We're having a nice time. Are you happy with your microphone? Trying to do something nice with Allysha Joy in the studio, then pick a track she wasn't ready for at all. The lovely Dawn Glory with Ponte off his amazing album. We have Allysha Joy from 3070 in the studio today.
Hello.
Ahead of their Jazz Cafe headline show this evening. The band, something of a Melbourne supergroup featuring Allysha, Ziggy Zeitgeist, Josh Kelly, Finn Reese and Matthew Hayes. They effortlessly blend a world of like cosmic, jazz, electronic sounds into songs that I just find like effortlessly danceable and fit almost any vibe. Their latest album, Art Make Love, is out now on Energy Exchange Records. 3070, Allysha Joy, welcome to
Hello,
Voices Radio.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming down. It's been busy.
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been fast-paced, moving and creating, which is a blessing and a challenge all in one.
Yeah, so you did a couple of slots at We Out Here over the weekend. How did you find the show? How was, what did you see that you loved? Because it's so many people that...
Man. That festival and that crew, the Brownsville people, Giles, it's just been really supportive for us from So-Called Australia, and I think to then present some of that music to an audience that we know understands the sounds and the references was just really, really deep. It was really inspiring, and it was kind of everything that we wanted it to be and more.
That's so nice. Is there anyone that you sort of saw reconnected with when you were there that you were like, wow, this is so great to see you?
Yeah, we saw Brian Jackson play, and that was incredibly moving. I DJ'd for him when he was out in Naarm in Melbourne, and he didn't have his bass player with him. So then to see the whole lineup and to see him do his thing was like crazy. And then Jametta Rose and the Voices of Creation, that's my pick of the week.
That's your pick of the weekend.
That was mad. That was joyous overload. It was, incredible.
You did one of these marathon days where you do this, you start and you end the day. So you did an opening set at Braunswood, like cafe, restaurant kind of vibe, sit down. I think you guys probably do quite a lot of sort of clubby sets, generally speaking. Did that sort of give you an opportunity to present your music in a different way? Do you like?
Yeah, totally. And I think us in 3070, as you said, we're a group of people that all, we have our own projects. We all perform in various ways. So we're kind of well-versed at just being thrown into a different context. Yeah. Like we're often doing different setups. A lot of us play improvised music. That's kind of the crux of 3070. It's there's songs, but it's very heavily improvised. So we've learned how to navigate these spaces and how to do that together and make the most of a sound and a moment, try to create.
You can translate your sound to fit the vibe that you're playing.
Yeah.
If people are feeling like dancing, you'll make them dance. If they want to sit down and have a coffee, that's a good thing too.
Yeah, but it is sometimes a challenge because we did not have coffee.
You did not have coffee. You didn't have time. It was too early in the morning.
The coffee machine was broken. It was rough, but we got through, and it was honestly, so fun. Yeah. Just the audiences were amazing.
Where are you guys all based now? Because you moved to the UK recently.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of still between. Okay. I still spend a fair amount of time in So-Called Australia, and so does Finn. And then Ziggy lives over in Berlin. Matt is kind of the same. He's kind of between two places, and Josh is still back home in So-Called Australia. So we have actually Max Dowling Yelderbert on sax for these shows, and he is absolutely killing it. Yeah,
one thing that I've picked up a lot from more your solo work than 3070 stuff is, it's very tied to sort of the native So-Called Australia landscape. Do you feel, it feels very rooted in that place? Do you feel different writing songs when you're not rooted in that space?
That's a really interesting thought. I mean, I do acknowledge, the spirit and the energy and just the space that exists in Naarm in Melbourne, and that is where I predominantly write a lot of my music. When I'm on this side of the world, I'm kind of too busy a lot of the time to really spend that time writing. I do still do it, and I do a lot of collaborative work, but I think you're right. I think the energy and the spaciousness creates a different sound in the music. Yeah.
I think, it just seems so sort of respectful of the heritage and the history of that land that it's just interesting to think about.
Yeah,
how
I mean, that is definitely like something that I want to bring into my work and try to acknowledge, the history of Australia and its colonization and sovereignty wasn't ceded of that land. So I think it's very important to continue to acknowledge that and use the platform that we have to talk about those things. And, it's conscious and it's subconscious. It's also just within the music and within that space.
I think so. I think it's just it's a connection to earth and respect for it generally. So Giles Peterson once said that you were the future of what's going on in Melbourne.
Wild.
Wild. Great. Huge if true.
True.
It's definitely true. Do you think that, do you still feel like a Melbourne band now you guys are spread half the time all over the world?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it does feel a bit like a falsity when we spend a lot of time over here. But I think the way that I work as well, like whenever I do radio, whenever I do have opportunities to shout about music that's coming out from that side of the world, I use that opportunity and try to, integrate that into the work. So it's not just me bailing on the community scene out there. Like I very much try to incorporate other musicians into the work and other, ideas and concepts that have come from that space and spend time out there. And
when you say that part of the world, there's a certain perspective of, Aussie bands like Tame Impala, like Pond, Gum and all of that. But, do you, in my head, there's also there's probably, I know so little about that part of the world and the musical links, but there's such a strong sort of Filipino psych scene and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that feed in, is that how you view the world, or is it more specifically that those English colonized spaces like Australia and...
Wow. I feel like you need to direct that question.
Sorry.
I'm not sure. I think, of course, all of the music is influencing all of the music, again, whether that's subconscious or conscious. And I think culturally, how those scenes are enmeshed or exist in different spaces too.
Totally.
I think... through big platforms like Triple J, which is the biggest radio station in so-called Australia, it's they play a lot of rock music and actually not really much soul and jazz and R&B. So I think, when I think about music that's coming out of Melbourne or coming out of Nam, I think about soul music, because there's so much of that, and I think these two worlds kind of exist kind of just parallel to one another, but I'm sure it
never
does
to meet.
it does they cross paths sometimes.
For sure. So you and the rest of the band have a really long-standing connection with the UK, through Rhythm Section, through Brownswood, Giles Peterson, all of that. How do you establish those connections from the other side of the world?
Well, Rhythm Section kind of happened through Bradley Zero coming over and spending some time out with Silent J and Jace XL, who are part of Hiatus, and they put out a record with Rhythm Section, and we were all at the time kind of different members of 3070 and Hiatus, living in different houses, and with Mandarin Dreams crew as well. So we're all very connected, and Bradley just came out and saw a show and liked the music, so
great,
put us up.
And is tonight your biggest show in the UK to date?
We played Jazz Cafe a couple of times, actually. I feel like every time we play, it's just trying to present the band where it is now, which is exciting to me. It's in that sense, it's the biggest show to date, because it's just we get an opportunity to present the music and our own musicality in its most current form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I get excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but I guess that's sort of part of it being like such a project based on improvisation that, you know, every show, especially if you give it a few years, you'll be in a different place.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it was kind of crazy, you know, like I've been doing a lot of shows out here, but for 3070, it's a lot harder for us to tour as a band because everyone's got their own projects. It's challenging to get, you know, other members out from so-called Australia. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
So there's so many people that have seen me play or seen Ziggy Zeitgeist play, but not seen us play together in like a really long time. And I think that's been really exciting for me. Like, you know, some of my dearest friends hadn't seen the band play, so
that's exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I think the band is at this point now where we're just really strong and really strongly connected in the music, and yeah, I'm excited.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So we're going to play J Love from Art Make Love. Now we've only got time for a couple more tracks. Thank you so much for swinging by the studio. Is there anything you'd say about J Love
Thanks
before
for having me.
We played it?
Well, I don't think I've ever said this on radio, but this track is kind of, I guess, about the like long history of 3070 and the collective kind of experience and the ways in which the band continues to change and evolve. And this tune kind of came out of reminiscing about a time when we would drive up the coast of so-called Australia, and there'd be like 5 of us in this little beat-up car, and we were just smashing Dilla joints. So this is kind of a Dilla, I don't know,
Dilla nice
a
day.
moment.
Allysha Joy, thank you so much for swinging by the Voices studio to speak to us on Pretend.
Thank you.
Good luck tonight. Have a great time.
Thanks.